So another road loss. What do you do now in training to turn the tide and make sure that you guys get a result in the next game?
We need to obviously keep working on our defending. Just early in the game, we didn't even give ourselves a chance. We exposed ourselves straight away, playing high. We've discussed all week, keep them in front of us. If we don't like it, drop off. Just unfortunately, I think that circumstance happened so quick on us that we just didn't make the right decision in the moment. But the key is making sure collectively we defend better, and then within that collective defending, we make better individual defending decisions. And the key is our back line needs to keep things in front of them, allow our midfielders to do the work in front of them. The unfortunate part is I thought we did a better job when we came back out after the break of really keeping plays in front of us, and the work of our midfielder was excellent. The urgency that we played with was great. Obviously, the context of the game is very different from the start, from when you're down 3-0 and you've been, knocked down a little bit. But I thought the effort, the fight, even the back line, I thought did a very good job in that second part. And we need to build off of that, because that kind of urgency and the decisions we made were much better. And we've proven through having the most goals scored in the league that we can attack. So now it's just, again, our collective mindset on protecting ourselves defensively, and we're going to continue to build on that, and we will be a better defending team. Even this weekend we'll be better than we were last weekend, that's for sure.
Is it frustrating to have the duality in your roster? I mean, going forward, this team looks and performs very capably in terms of goal scoring, but then it seems like when, for example, Jovinko scores, those goals don't really win games because you've dug yourself in a bit of a hole. How frustrating is it to have almost two completely conflicting storylines within your starting 11s?
It's part of putting a team together. We know we have an attacking group that has a lot of ability and is special. What's unfortunate is the foundation of all the teams is the back line. We haven't been able to really start the same back line in any two games. We've had to plug some different holes because of injuries, and really a foundation for defending is really on the back line and the back line decisions, and that's been an unfortunate part. The hardest thing to do in the game, though, is to score goals. That's the hardest thing to do. Keeping people out of your goal is about collective work and good decision making. We will absolutely get it right, and when we do, we will be a championship caliber team. That's no question to my mind. That's the same thing the group believes, and the same thing that we talked about today. So it's tightening up ourselves on that one side, which is the defending side, and doing so without losing the strength and the ability that we have in the attack, and we're fully capable of doing that.
Greg, can I ask you about your experience as a player before and responding to coaches? Because, you had 2 weeks to prepare for that game against Dallas, but then you concede 2 goals in the first 10 minutes. At that moment, is it fair to say that sometimes players can sometimes lose what they've been prepared for because of what's happened in the actions on the field?
Yeah, I think also is time off is sometimes not a good thing. Time away from games. We've also had 2 breaks where you start to gain rhythm. As you see, I think in our games we progressively get better from the opening whistle to the last whistle. When you have bye weeks, then you have a week where you don't have that competition. You lose a little bit of your rhythm, and then we're opposed with a very early decision of whether to drop or whether to step, and we just made the wrong decision. And I think that first goal, because really one of our objectives in the game was to keep the game 0, right, as long as possible. And as the game naturally opened up, obviously our attacking players would take over. And to be able to have that decision early on, not make the right decision, take a goal, then it's just a little bit of a knock on the collective sort of confidence for a second. That's what I think is a bit of it. Obviously, from a training standpoint, Nick has played right back before. It's not like he knows the decision. Again, if you hit freeze frame before it happens and you ask him what to do, he'll tell you I drop. But then the heat of the moment, 20 seconds in, having to make a decision, he just unfortunately, right, he bites, thinking he wants to close Castillo down before he gets a chance to run at him, and it can't happen anymore for us. We need to make really sound decisions. But I do think that us getting into a rhythm of playing games, and especially May, where you play every 3 days, I think our group will really evolve and be quite successful.
So, Greg, Sebastian Giovinco almost salvages this game on his own in the last few minutes. Can you talk to us about how he's adjusting to this league and how you'd evaluate his performance so far?
Yeah, I think him putting balls in the back of the net almost salvaged the game, but I think the collective group worked incredibly hard in the second half to to win balls, to keep attacks sustained. He did a nice job of finding space in certain areas, and we did a good job of finding him. For me, he's evolved in a way that every game he's taken a little bit more responsibility on his shoulders of the group. I think every game the group has started to look at him a little more as the guy who can really drive us. I think he's starting to understand the league and where he can find spaces. He's also understanding sort of how how the games sort of progress. Obviously, for him, there's a frustration and all of us, and that we aren't giving ourselves a chance to win in some of these games. But I think it's an opportunity that he has gotten better every single game, and I think that's spectacular. And I think, for me, the results are an opportunity for us in this league. Everybody has their good moments and bad moments. It's a league of streaks in a lot of ways, and every team that has started on the road has ended up having a reasonably successful season, because for us it's a real opportunity for us to look at ourselves and find out what we're made of and find out what our deficiency is. And I think teams that don't take a good look at themselves are teams that won't come out of this. But we're taking a good, honest look at what we're good at. We're finding out right now what our team is made of, and we'll make the adjustments, and we'll be so much better for it.
In 2011, Sporting Kansas City went through similar circumstances. They started 10 games on the road with their stadium renovations, only getting one win on the road, but then they came back and they won the Eastern Conference pretty much. Do you see optimism in that?
Absolutely. I mean, the optimism for me as well is in the way we're attacking. We are creating goals, and I said that's the hardest thing to do for us, is to recognize what our defensive deficiencies are right now and to clean those up, to get some guys healthy, to get back to where we can be consistent with our back line. That'll help give us some of that stability. But 3 teams, I think, prior to us have started on the road with 7 or more games. None of those teams really came home with what you would call successful starts to the season. But I think in every one of those situations, they were able to really find out about themselves early on and address some things that maybe that if you pick up a draw here or a point there or a point here where you don't really get to look at those things closely and make the adjustments you need to. And we all fully believe that through the challenges we're gonna address our issues and get better. And you can see it, the guys are working. And yes, to answer your question, we will be there in the end, having a say in who the championship team is in the Major League Soccer.
Can you provide us an injury update? How's Stephen Caldwell, Mark Bloom, and is there anything else that's developed?
Nothing else that's developed. Mark Bloom is progressing. What we knew last week and pushing him as a possibility, it was at the front end of the timeline based on the injury he had. So for now, for us, is just continue to progress, and we'll see how he comes along over the course of the week. No clear indication yet. Benoit is good. We'll start training with the group, I believe, tomorrow. He's looking solid. Stevie is likewise progressing, feeling better every single day, and hopefully we'll get him into training as the week progresses. But no certainty yet on his situation in terms of exact day when he'll be back.
Greg, can I ask you about Kakar and some of the challenges that face him? Obviously a player that you know very well and you'll be watching a lot this week.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando have kind of mixed up a little bit this year in terms of playing him in that number 10 and then moving him out on the left-hand side of a 4-3-3.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the challenges that provides your team and also the back line in terms of what he does with his movement into space and the interchanging with the rest of his opponents?
Yeah, regardless of really where they start him, he works his way around the field and finds gaps. So if he starts centrally, sometimes he'll drift out to the left side. He really, in my opinion, prefers to go to the left and pick up balls and come in on his right foot and play make coming in and combining off of guys. He and I think Molina are 2 guys that really look to combine off of each other. And then they obviously have dynamic forwards who are always working, or they're playing as targets, but also working to push the back line. So for us, it's important to kind of know where he is at all times, take away passing lanes into him, make sure we're aware of him. We don't want him making the game, if you will, and forcing them to play in areas of the field that they don't prefer to play in, and making sure, again, that we keep our lines compact and we don't give away space behind us, and we're good about our defending responsibilities and good decisions. But clearly, he's a player that if he can get on the ball and face forward, he can do some damage.
I'll take one more for Greg, guys. Sorry.
Orlando have struggled to score, but they've looked good in a lot of games. So what has other than Kakara impressed you so far about them?
I think they're a highly competitive team. When they come on the field, they're competing, they're pressing, at times they're coming at you, they're aggressive in the challenge, they're aggressive and the way they go about doing things. Obviously, Kaká is a good player. I think Molina is a dynamic player and can take you on the dribble. He's also quick and a slashing type of player. They haven't got a ton of production out of the forwards, but I think their forwards are a handful physically, and you just have to manage them. Breck Shea is a guy who can get into attack. He delivers a ball. He's obviously a guy you got to really keep an eye on as he gets forward, because that's his strength. On the other side, I thought Ramos is a good player as well. He picked up a red card, and so he won't be in, but I think he's also a good attacking outside back. And I think their 4 central players between the 2 holding midfielders and 2 deep midfielders are just rugged, tumble competitors, and they get in tight and they really compete with you. So they don't make anything easy, and they have guys on the field who can make some plays.